Hello guys, welcome back to the Sportsman Untitled Extra. I'm Simon Lillibury, your host, and I'm joined by Justin Peach and Gab Sutton to preview the M69 derby this weekend. I'm very excited for it because it's Leicester versus Coventry at the King Power, 12:30 on Saturday. Make sure you tune in to watch it. Justin, I'll come to you first from a Leicester perspective. Marti Cifuentes has had a fairly decent start, hasn't he?
It's been
Results-wise,
it's been okay. I know some games have been quite flat. I mean, Charlton away was an interesting performance where Charlton, again, a little bit of quality, probably could have come away with a win. Similarly, maybe got away with it against Sheffield Wednesday on the opening day because Sheffield Wednesday probably took them by surprise a little bit. But what we're seeing with Leicester at the moment is just not quite functioning, I think, in the way that they all would have hoped, in the sense that wide players aren't quite firing, strikers aren't quite firing. Defensively, they look okay, but not great. I think it's just a case and a theme of parachute payment teams coming down from the Premier League, not quite settling into the Championship as everyone would expect. But with Cifuentes, I think he's delivering results, but I probably expect a little bit more with the players he's got at his disposal.
Yeah, Abdul Fattah has been scored some great individual goals so far, hasn't he? Him and Steffi Mavididi are obviously the biggest threats in this Leicester team, Gab. How do you go about trying to stop them, or is it a bit difficult with that quality they've got?
Yeah, I think it's difficult. Yeremy Monga's one who's really stood out to me. Only 16, but he's really quite a prodigious talent. And I think we're talking about somebody with an extremely high long-term ceiling. So he's been the one that's really caught my eye for Leicester City so far. Bit of a dilemma in attack because they've got Carranza, who is a late summer signing, but he's having to be patient because it was I who started the draw at Oxford on Saturday, and it was Patson Daka rather than Carranza who came off the bench, so he's having to be quite patient at the moment. But I think what we're seeing with Marti Cifuentes is, even though we're not seeing an identity yet with Leicester City in terms of a clear way of playing and a way of moving forward that maybe Leicester City fans would like, I think he's quite adaptable. I think he set Leicester up in a way that was required for them to beat Birmingham City the other Friday, in terms of nullifying the opposition. And I think he's also quite adaptable in game and capable of making changes that can swing games his side's way. So, respectable start from Leicester, even if there's more to come.
Oxford United have been an interesting barometer for both of these two teams in the last couple of weeks, because both of them have drawn 2-2 at the Kassam. Obviously, Leicester had that red card, didn't they, which kind of changed the game a little bit. What can we expect from them, though, in this game? They've got to be really front-footed, surely.
Well, it's quite difficult to predict, because I think with Cifuentes' teams is we don't really know what style he wants to identify with. We saw it with QPR last season, where they started the season trying to be a little bit more fluid, play out from the back. They struggled, went back to sort of being quite disciplined and structured, getting results, and then it changed again, and then they stopped getting results. So it's really hard to predict what style Cifuentes is going to implement now with Leicester, because again, I think we're seeing everything a little bit in between. He's trying to get the grips with the squad. He came in very late in pre-season, for example, or in the summer, I should say. So it's difficult. It really is difficult. But I think if you are going to play a derby, you've got to really buy into it a little bit. And I think with Leicester, with the amount Coventry like to attack, there's opportunities for Leicester to get in behind the spaces that Coventry are eventually going to leave when they do start gallivanting forward. So I think with that, it's going to be a case of Cifuentes is going to treat it a bit like a chess match, because he's a very good tactician. So I don't think they'll buy into the full-bloodedness of a derby. I think it'll be a case of picking and choosing.
Do you think it might actually be a bit of a negative that Leicester are at home in this game? Because you mentioned their Coventry like to attack and kind of flood forward at the minute. If this game was at the CBS, you could see a Cifuentes sitting almost like Regis Lebris did with Sunderland in the playoffs. Sure. But there's a pressure, isn't there? If you're at home in a derby, you can't just sit back and take a bit of a possession hammering.
I think that is what Cifuentes did in a similar game at home to Birmingham a couple of weeks ago. They weren't unbelievable in that match, but they did have a really solid defensive shape, and they rely on the tenacity of Harry Winks and certainly Hamza Chowdhury, who's a really tough tackler, that lad in midfield, and they've got Jordan James as well. So they've got players there who I think will be looking to combat, and we can come on to Coventry's in midfield in a moment. That trio of Matt Grimes, Victor Torp, and Jack Rodoni. I think Leicester will try and nullify that and use Ayew as the sort of the fulcrum of their attacking play.
Coventry did have a home win against Leicester, I think, 2 seasons ago. But the last away win came back in 2001 against Leicester. Does that mean anything, Justin?
You want to say it doesn't. And every single manager will say it doesn't. But if you just look back at the history of football, these things just psychologically just get into your heads. They get into your heads as fans, and that feeds into the players, I think, anyway. You look at Sheffield United in the playoffs, their playoff record, Bristol City's playoff record, West Brom v Derby is another example. Similarly with Charlton going winless against Millwall for 29 or 20 odd years, however long it is, it does feed into it a little bit, and that just adds a pressure. It also adds a little bit of not expectation, but a little bit extra in it. And I think from a commentary point of view, Frank Lampard would probably only be aware of the record, but all the fans will, and that surely might impact things. Yeah.
I want to talk about golf now, Gab, because it's been quite an exciting start to the season. I wrote down a few stats here. Goals scored, they're ranked first. They've had 100 shots, which is the top amount of shots in the league. The next highest, by the way, Millwall is 79, so well clear of that. Highest in XG, highest in shots on target, highest in big chances created, highest in touches in the opposition box. It just goes on and on. Highest in possession, one in the final third. The start to the season has been football unlike I've seen at golf before. Genuinely some of the best football I've ever seen us play. Yeah. It's very hard not to get carried away, but I'm getting carried away because it's been, even against Norwich, it was probably our best performance of the season statistically in an attacking sense. We only drew the game, but all the signs are there that we're going to be a really good team this season.
Yeah, I think of that midfield trio that I mentioned earlier as a bit like sauces on a Mexican wrap.
Oh yeah, I like where this is going.
You've got the cool sour cream of Matt Grimes, you've got the zingy guacamole of Victor Tup, and you've got the fiery salsa of Jack Redoney. So that's how I'm looking at it with Coventry City.
All delicious as well.
Exactly, yeah. So I think, I really like Coventry City and the sort of the pressure that they've applied on teams in their games, and they look like they can create chances. The one feeling that I do have about this game on Friday night is
Saturday lunchtime.
Saturday lunchtime, thank you. What would I do without you, Simon? I think Coventry have a great best 11, and Leicester have a top end Championship best 11 as well. But I think Leicester maybe have a more depth in a way that Coventry haven't quite got those extra 2 or 3 additions that they might have wanted towards the end of the window. Could that be a hindrance for Coventry maybe in the second half of games if they're maybe the better team in the first half with that momentum and the football they can play? But in the second half, will Leicester have those few more options perhaps?
I think you've nailed it there. The squad depth is a bit of a concern, but that first 11 looks to be able to push for the top 2, maybe even higher. Won't get too carried away. Justin, you've had an opinion or two on a certain Coventry manager, Frank Lampard. Is he winning you round slightly?
I tell you what, this is unlike any Frank Lampard side I've witnessed. This is, if you go back to his Derby spell, it was the games were edgy, decided on a Harry Wilson moment, or Jack Marriott played through. So having the statistics to back it up, actually you relying on individuals actually putting chances away, a wealth of chances that you are creating, then that somewhat takes pressure off Frank Lampard, and it does start to swing you into a realm that actually Frank Lampard has got something about him as a head coach. And it won't take much convincing from my point of view, but if they can keep this up for a longer period of time, then sure, because at every point in every season, a club, they won't sustain this level of attacking output. It's when you have to start relying on your defensive output as well, and that's where the balance comes in. But numbers don't lie, they're there. It's only 5 games into the season, but Coventry, by far, going forwards, have been the most impressive team in the division.
And Hans, you're right, 5 goals already, could be going for the Golden Boot this season. I think all there's left to do is have a score prediction for this game. Unless there's any other further comments you want to make about this derby. Gab, I'll come to you first, please.
I think it's going to be 1-1. I think Coventry are going to take the lead and maybe they shade the territory in the first half. And I think Leicester City are going to change things up in the second half and get an equaliser. So you've got a score prediction there and a view on how I think it's going to play out.
And for you, Justin.
Weirdly, Leicester have just found ways to get results in games this season, and I think they'll find a way to nullify Coventry, and we'll have a moment in the 80th minute, whether it be a set piece or Abdul Fattawu banger from the right flank. I think it'll be a 1-0 Leicester win, but it'll be a tight game, and certainly Coventry have their chances, but that's where it'll be one for me.
I may have made a prediction on my commentary podcast over the weekend, which I'm going to have to stick to now because I got quite carried away last night, and I said it would be Leicester 1, Coventry 4. We're going to absolutely wipe the floor with them.
Oh my God, Simon's gone mad.
You can't stop this attacking train. You cannot stop it. Leicester, we're coming for you. We're going to absolutely hammer you. I'll be back next week to see if I'm right or not. And I'll be joined next week by Conor McGilligan and somebody making their podcast debut with us, Callum Fowler. So do make sure you like and subscribe to see the Sportsman Untitled on Monday. We'll see you then.